It's so natural for the mind to wander. And I'll just share a brief clinical anecdote. But when I was doing mindfulness based groups with college students, it would be natural for people to say things like, I can't do this. I'm too uncomfortable. Or why am I sitting still? How is that going to help me? How's that going to help me to improve? And, it's again, it's a skill in a sense to hone and to train our attention because our mind is bound to wander. But even in accepting that, by just noticing that our mind wanders and instead of course, becoming frustrated about it, understandably, just by accepting it, we're able to sort of like, relate to that moment differently. And that's in many ways what the mind does. And so I'll just share another example of a mindfulness. Maybe I could pause there, but just to say, one of my first, mindfulness based retreats, which was an intensive retreat with Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, who's an internationally known researcher, a clinician, and expert in mindfulness, and someone who brought mindfulness into healthcare. I was at this retreat. I was pregnant at the time, about 2 weeks from my due date. And one of the things that I found was that it was very hard, just given physical discomfort, to sit still. Now, thankfully, there were breaks between each mindfulness segment, but sometimes our days would start at 6:30 and end at 7:30. One of the things that I appreciated about this mindfulness based retreat was that we were given the opportunity to practice in different ways. Some meditative practices were about sitting and being with the breath. Some were about just noticing what is and relating to our own inner experience, being aware and observing different emotions that would arise or sensations. But to also break things up, we were given the opportunity to practice a walking meditation. And I find that when people have a hard time sitting still, it's often useful to change positions and to sort of free ourselves from an idea of what mindfulness practice has to be. So by walking and doing a walking meditation, we get a chance to be in our bodies, which allows us to just notice and bring attention to different parts of the body, noticing our feet touch the ground as we walk, noticing how we walk, what's typical for us in terms of our stride. Do we walk very fast? And so, again, bringing awareness to that allows us to change the experience of walking. And often it becomes more enjoyable as a result.